Let's talk 观点好谈. Today we have this great privilege of speaking with Mr. Gabrielius Landsbergis, the former Minister of Foreign Affairs of Lithuania. During his tenure, Lithuania's foreign policy took bold and transformative steps, including strengthening ties with Taiwan and supporting democratic values on a global stage. Well, Mr. Landsbergis, it's such a great honor to have you with us. Thank you for accepting our interview.
Thank you so much.
First of all, as Taiwanese, I would like to extend my heartfully thank you for your contribution in arranging the donation of 20,000 vaccines during COVID pandemic. Thank you for being the first European country to show such kindness to us when we are most in need. Thank you.
Well, it's a small thing.
And also during your tenure, we know that as foreign minister, the relationship between Lithuania and Taiwan has made such a huge positive progress. Can you share with us what's your insight on making such a step forward and also extending the olive branch to Taiwan?
Well, my strong belief is that we are in these times of uncertainty where we are seeing authoritarian, aggressive countries collaborating, helping each other, exerting way more pressure to their neighborhoods than ever before. We have the greatest war in Europe that we've seen since Second World War. I think it's really time where, as I would like to say, democracies need to help each other and to stand with each other. But even more so, the frontline states, the countries that are closest to the aggressive neighbors, they need to help each other even more so. And I have often felt that in times like these, even for allies, in some cases it is way more preferred that we stay silent, as if we don't exist. Mm-hmm. And if something bad would happen, it's easier to turn your blind eye towards the issues that Taiwan would be facing, Lithuania would be facing, Ukraine would be facing. And when we support each other, when we talk about each other, we become seen, even though we're small, but we become seen. And in that way, our problems are known, our issues are known, and for us it's easier to get assistance and support.
That's very inspiring. Thank you for not only refusing to stay silent, you also made a lot of steps forward. For example, you supported Taiwan to open up the representative office under the name of Taiwan, which is a very groundbreaking move in Europe for Taiwan as identity as well. I'm sure that you faced a lot of pressure, especially from China. Can you share with us about that? Yeah,
indeed. I have a strong belief that that identity is a very important issue. For all people, being able to call yourself the way that you see yourself, and that works for that works for Lithuania, that works for Taiwan, and in our case, Russia is one of the countries that has been for a very long time very strong on oppressing, not just politically or militarily, but also trying to erase a history of peoples. Trying to rewrite the history, to change the narrative, and in some cases erase the cultural identity. This is what they have been doing with Ukrainians, falsifying the history of the country and using that as a pretense for occupation. So it is very important that we also see the depth of the cultural identity and we support it in any way that we can. And we believe that by doing so, we did not infringe on, One China policy, and we did not ruin our, agreements that we have with the PRC. But yes, you are very right. They took a very harsh stance after our decision, and Lithuania has become probably one of the most sanctioned countries in the world. China stopped all trade with Lithuania. That happened for a brief while. Now it is returning the trade because there are things that China just needs that Lithuania produces, such as world-class optics and lasers and other things. So that's why they kind of starting to reopen the trade. But up until this moment, Lithuania faces maybe not so much economic coercion, but diplomatic coercion. We don't have an embassy in Beijing, and that is also we tend to say that this is also one of the ways how the pressure is exerted. But in other words, I would say that their expectation was that to exert pressure so that nobody would do the same things that Lithuania does. But I would like to show that the friendship that we created with Taiwan could be an inspiration for others. So this is exactly the way that we have to go. That the countries like Lithuania, when they support Taiwan, when we support each other, basically, new things will grow out of it. And I hope that it will work.
Can you also elaborate on that cooperation, for example, between Lithuania and Taiwan on the issue of Ukraine? Is there the collaboration project and how it's signify between Taiwan and Lithuania?
There are some specific projects that are being developed even as we speak. Lithuania has a special foundation for rebuilding of Ukraine, and knowing that we are a small country having limited resources, to help rebuild the country that faced such a devastation like Ukraine, we are always seeking for new partners to join in our foundation. One of the main objectives for the rebuilding effort is rebuilding the education facilities. And this is where Taiwan joined in. So we have a project of rebuilding kindergartens. And just to tell you how it works, basically, so that all kindergartens now have to have bomb shelters beneath the kindergarten. So that because almost there have been so many education facilities that have been destroyed, it is clear that Russia chooses education facility as a deliberate target, targeting children.
That's horrible.
And for that, I would have thought that we would live in a day where we would be happy that we can build a bomb shelter below the kindergarten, so that that the children would be safer. That is the only way how to make sure that they are safer in this horrible environment. So yes, so we have already completed some projects. Some of them are underway, and I really do appreciate the assistance that has been provided by the government in Taiwan. And then other countries as well joined in, but this is very, very significant to us and to Ukrainians, I believe. What is very important as well in other field is the sanctions. As you know, European Union has imposed harsh sanctions on Russia because of their war against Ukraine, but Russia is always seeking for ways how to avoid the sanctions, trying to find where they can import the technology that they need, that they no longer can get from Europe. And in this regard, it's very important that we would find a way how to collaborate in this, because Taiwan produces some of the most sophisticated technology that there is. And clearly, if Russia is able to get their hands on the technology, they would be able to produce the same weapons that kill the Ukrainians every day. And I understand that every sanction, has a toll on the industry, because, you lose a market. But I think via cooperation, via our collaboration with democracies, then, globally, we can help alleviate these losses, so that we can help each other, so that the companies are able to survive without selling equipment to Russia.
Indeed. And in your resignation statement, you mentioned about the formation of chaos, including countries like Russia, China, North Korea. What kind of threats do they pose on the democratic world?
Well, we're seeing that the autocratic countries found a way, without even a formal agreements, to collaborate very effectively, because they do understand that this collaboration helps them, first of all, to avoid sanctions, fight wars like in Ukraine. And this is truly, quite threatening, standing behind Russia, in its war effort, supporting with industrial capacity, helping it build, drones and rockets and whatnot. When you have Iran sending, just the whole made drones to Russia. When you have North Korea sending troops to Russia to help its war effort against Ukraine, that is truly a rather dark picture that is being painted. And imagine then, that any of us could be in the place of Ukraine. Any of us could be facing this, aligned autocracies, helping each other to fight a war against one of us. So in order to be able to fight that off, we have to really combine our efforts so that we push back on every front. And usually, I've been talking about this, that the war in Ukraine has an effect on globally on everybody. There is no region that is not affected by it, either via food support, food supplies, energy supplies, or just geopolitical impact. But when we see that the troops from North Korea are fighting the war in the European continent, that brings this reality very up close. That has nobody would have foreseen that we would be facing this reality, but actually it is there.
Definitely. And also, similar to Taiwan, Lithuania was recently suspected of having its undersea cables cut by Chinese vessels as well. What's your take on this?
Yeah, indeed. So we have a number of incidents like that in the Baltic Sea, and usually what is very concerning is that usually we would see a Chinese vessel that has been leased to a Russian company, operated by a Russian crew, and engaging in this, what we call shadow war activity, because it is a deliberate act, and in most cases, we know that there has been a Russian government sanctioned operation, basically, that they allow this to happen in order to harm our countries in our region, to go against the civilian infrastructure that hinder our economic abilities, and then other ways of our economy working in our country. So it's very concerning that we are seeing these things happening, and as well, we're witnessing also here very similar activity taking place. I think that we need to start drawing a very clear red lines as to how what constitutes our response. So far, my sense is that we have been rather lenient, not taking any firm action against these activities. But I think if we want those activities to stop, we have to be more active in pushing back on PRC and also on Russia.
And as you just mentioned as well, the similarities between Lithuania and Taiwan is that we all face this powerful adversaries, great power that's threatening our democracy. And what is the way of united public opinion also fostering the spirit of patriotism in Lithuania that Taiwan can also see as a mirror or an example?
Well, first of all, I had a chance to visit the exhibition in the presidential palace earlier today, and witness pictures and video recordings from Taiwan's fight for democracy, for democratic future. So it's very, very similar to what we witnessed in our case, 1989, 1990s, when Lithuania broke away from Soviet Union, declared its independence, and secured statehood. It's very similar. We see the same emotion in the people, and I say that that the generation that fought for our freedom, and the generation that actually witnessed the change of the societal change or governmental change in Taiwan is very much now in power. It means that the people do remember this. They were the ones, doing the protesting, fighting, hoping for a different future for the countries, and that affects the way that the countries are run. We don't want to lose it because we were the ones fighting for it, right? So it's that for us. Probably the war against Ukraine brought a very brutal understanding as how a country can lose its independence, because the war is so close. It's just basically we're talking hundreds of kilometers away from where we live, where the war is taking place, where Russian troops are ravaging the Ukrainian country, and so that that brings a bit of more urgency, to the need of defense, to what needs to be done in the country. That's why we are bringing back the concepts of conscription. We did not have a universal conscription. Now it's a part of a political debate. How to do it better. We raised our defense spending. Now we're spending 3.2% of our GDP towards defense, and we believe that this is not the end. We need to go further because the threat is very real, and it might become very, very urgent. And I think that this is, again, through my conversations here in Taiwan, one of the themes, topics that we've discussed was about the need for further and deeper cooperation in the field of defense. How do we combine our industrial, technological, geopolitical understandings and cooperate in the field so that we can be better protected in the future.
Yes, and we talked about the bond between Lithuania and Taiwan from the past, the current, and also we would like to talk about the future as well. Looking forward, what about the semiconductor industry collaborations?
Well, we had some very great projects foreseen between our industries. They have been a bit of a slowdown as of recently. I hope that it's temporary. We have discussed this with authorities here in Taiwan. I would really wish to see some breakthroughs in the field. Lithuanians are eager to learn and to adapt the technologies that that Taiwan has, and to also to help Taiwan to enter European market. Because by collaborating with Lithuania, basically since we are part of a European Union, a single market, Taiwan can extend its reach and become more, important and recognizable, visible in the whole continent. We can work in many cases as a entryway for your industry, for your technology, for your people and academia, education and whatnot. So I think that it is very important that we have successes in the field, so that the slowdown is temporary, and the great successes would be not too far off.
Can you tell us more about the breakthrough that you wish to see?
There are some specific points in technology that if we would be collaborating in the field, so it's a specific type of semiconductors that Lithuania would be able to produce with licensing by Taiwan. I think that could be an amazing collaboration for both Taiwan and Lithuania. Mm-hmm. We have the capacity to produce. We have a knowledge and willingness, and Taiwan has the invention, which is currently rather underdeveloped in Taiwan. So there is a linkage, there is an interest on both sides. So I hope that the issues that are currently there could be ironed out, and we would see progress.
And also beyond semiconductors, there's also collaboration of drones and finance as well.
Yeah, exactly. So in financing sector, we're seeing that there's an interest by Taiwanese banks to enter, Lithuanian market. And with entering Lithuanian market, as I mentioned previously, you enter European market.
Yes.
So there's an ample room for expansion. So I know that there have been talks commenced. So I'm really hopeful so that this continues. When it comes to drone production, this is where I think that it's important to say that we're at the very early stages, both Taiwan and Lithuania. But the lessons that Ukraine's fight for its independence, and the lessons that we can learn from Ukraine are extremely valuable. because, in case of an aggression against either Taiwan or Lithuania, would probably be seeing a very similar picture, the one that Ukrainians are seeing today. And drones are a very big part of it. From what you have to defend your country, and also with what you are defending it with. So that means that we need to ramp up the production. We need to ramp up the R&D in the field. And I'm hopeful that this provides us also one more opportunity for collaboration.
Yeah, indeed. Well, Mr. Landsbergis, thank you so much for playing such a pivotal role in fostering between the relationship of Lithuania and Taiwan. This partnership not only is a reshaping of our relationship, but also paved a way for a better future together in collaboration. Thank you so much for joining us in Taiwan.
Thank you.
Thank you.